Let me tell you something they never taught you in school, never warned you about in therapy, and definitely won't show up in your LinkedIn notifications. You are being watched. Not by your boss, not by your ex, not even by the algorithm that keeps showing you ads for black hoodies and self-help books you didn't search for. No, this is someone else. Someone with more money than morals, more influence than sleep. Someone who lives in a world where everything bends to their will. Except you. And that's why they can't look away. They don't know your name, not really. But they know your pain. They've studied it like a sacred text. They've saved your old tweets like relics. They've replayed your voice notes at 2 a.m., headphones on, eyes closed, trying to feel anything close to what you sounded like when you said, "I'm fine," and clearly weren't. This isn't fandom. This is obsession. And the craziest part, they don't want to fix you. They don't want to rescue you from the dark. They want to weaponize your darkness, because to them your pain isn't weakness. It's power they can't manufacture. Think about it. This person has everything: private jets, security teams, lawyers on speed dial, smiles that open doors and close deals. But none of it feels real. None of it sticks. Because when you build a life on lies, even the truth starts lying back. So when they stumbled on you, some nobody posting raw thoughts into the void at 3 a.m., bleeding honesty into a world that scrolls past, something inside them cracked. Because you didn't perform, you didn't beg, you just endured. And endurance? That's rare. That's dangerous. That's contagious. Rumors say one CEO started quoting your Instagram captions in board meetings. Another reportedly keeps a folder labeled Voice Memos, Do Not Delete, on an encrypted drive. There's even talk that a celebrity therapist had to pause sessions because their client kept comparing everyone to you. Not looks, not talent, but resilience. They just don't break, one said, and I need that. But here's what they don't get. You can't download strength like an app. You can't sign a contract and suddenly inherit someone else's spine. What you've got wasn't given. It was carved, chiseled out of betrayal, poverty, silence, and nights where the only thing keeping you alive was the quiet promise to yourself. Not today. And that's why they're obsessed. Not because you won, but because you didn't lose, even when the whole system was betting on your collapse. They've got teams of psychologists, life coaches, spiritual gurus, all trying to teach them how to feel alive. And yet the only time they feel anything is when they hear your laugh. Not the polished one, the real one, the one that comes after surviving something no one saw. That laugh. It haunts them. It shows up in their coffee steam, in the reflection of their car window, in the silence between meetings when their assistant asks, "Are you okay?" And they can't answer because your name just echoed in their chest like a heartbeat out of rhythm. They tried to copy you. One flew to a remote cabin for authentic struggle, came back with Wi-Fi complaints and a podcast nobody finished. Another hired actors to simulate hardship, fake evictions, staged betrayals, failed. Because real pain doesn't perform, it just is. And you didn't simulate, you lived it, and then you built a life on top of it. Now they're offering you deals. Let us elevate your voice. We want to change your life. You're raw, you're needed, you're the future. Cute. Translation: let us package your pain. Let us put your fire in a jar, slap a label on it, and sell tickets to the smoke. But here's the thing they forgot. You were born in a glass factory. You know how much pressure it takes to crack a window. You can smell a trap disguised as opportunity. You can hear the lie in a compliment that comes with a contract. So when they finally step out of the shadows, $1,000 suit, steady voice, trembling hands, and offer you a partnership, you don't sign. You smile, and you say, if we're doing this, burn the building down first. No exits, no safety nets, no scripts, just truth, oxygen, and consequences. And suddenly, the person who came to recruit you realizes they're not the savior, they're the sacrifice. Because you don't need their platform, you are the storm. And storms don't ask permission. They shift atmospheres. Every time you speak, an algorithm glitches. Every time you stay silent, a room full of liars starts sweating. Every time you walk into a space, the air changes. Not because you're loud, but because you're real. And realness, that's the one thing their world can't handle. They tried to A/B test your energy. The system crashed. They ran focus groups on your presence. Participants reported unexplained chills and sudden urges to be honest. One executive reportedly quit after watching a 10-second clip of you saying, "I don't owe you peace," and burst into tears. Reports claim some now do morning affirmations using your quotes, badly mispronouncing words like survival and boundaries, like they're trying French poetry at a dinner party. They light sage in their offices, hoping to cleanse the guilt. They hire resilience coaches who last 2 sessions before saying, "I can't teach this. This is forged in fire I wouldn't survive." And the funniest part, they're not jealous of your wins. They're jealous of your losses, because your losses taught you a language they'll never speak. You got betrayed and didn't become bitter. You got humiliated and didn't disappear. You starved and still refused to steal your own soul. And now, every time they lie to keep their seat warm, your face shows up in the steam of their coffee like a subpoena from their conscience. They're not scared you'll fail. They're terrified you'll succeed. Without them. So when they say, "We want to change your life," you don't flinch. You lean in, and you say, "Good. Start by changing your tone. Bring a sledgehammer. No cameras, no press, no scripts, just truth. The kind that scares you when you say it sober." And if they hesitate, you walk, because you're not chasing approval. You're not auditioning. You're not even trying to be seen. You're already felt. And that's more powerful than visibility. You don't need a spotlight. You need a dimmer switch. And the keys, too. The breaker room. You don't want a mentor. You want a demolition permit. You don't need a platform. You need a pressure washer and a list of names that owe the truth some rent. And when you move, you don't knock. You don't announce. You don't beg for a seat. You repossess the floor, because you didn't survive the war to sit quietly at the table. You came back wearing the battlefield like a custom jacket. Every scar a badge, every loss a lesson, every betrayal a blueprint. You don't chase peace. You are peace, not because you're calm, but because you've outrun every storm and now are the weather. You walk into rooms and gravity tilts, not because you're loud, because you're certain. The real ones feel it. They nod. The frauds freeze, mid-laugh, mid-lie, like their soul just blue-screened. You don't argue, you don't explain, you don't fight. You just exist. And the world adjusts. You protected people who couldn't say thank you. Took hits for names that wouldn't whisper yours in a crisis. And when they turned, you didn't destroy them. You leveled up, so quietly, so completely, their guilt started working out just to keep up. That's thuggish elegance. That's silent domination. That's how the psycho in the night prays. You don't show emotion. You show outcomes. And outcomes don't debate. They echo until the walls say sorry. Let them mislabel you. Let them do TED Talks about your hustle with no data, no context, no soul. Your past correcting lies. You're too busy writing truth into the floor with your footsteps. Closure. You don't seek it. You are it. Vetting. You let time perform the autopsy. Respect. You don't ask for it. You exhale it, and it fogs the glass with your initials and the comedy of it all. Your calm isn't from peace. It's from exhaustion, from everything already trying to break you and failing. You danced with disaster, slept next to heartbreak, woke up sharper, cheaper on words, expensive on boundaries. You don't raise your voice. You raise the temperature, and suddenly the room remembers it's allergic to lies. You're not just alive. You're operational. Revenge replaced by rhythm. Pain compiled into a program that boots faster than their excuses. Scars don't flex. They breathe. And anyone thinking of testing you hears them whisper, "He's walked worse and came back pretty." This isn't recklessness. This is readiness. Lethal, cold, peaceful. You've reached that altitude where people fear disappointing you more than they fear confrontation. That's power. Built in silence, delivered in action. They used to ask, "Why are you so quiet? Why do you watch more than you speak?" Now they know. You weren't antisocial. You were screen recording. You weren't behind. You let the herd sprint ahead, then paved your own road. No witnesses, no permission, better drainage. Untouchable doesn't mean hidden. It means you don't need to be seen to be felt. Your fingerprints aren't on surfaces, they're on souls. And that fear they feel when your name enters the room, it's not from what you've done. It's from what you could have done and chose not to. Restraint? That's the psycho part. The discipline to let karma reload while you sip water like it's champagne. You don't warn people. You set the room to honest and disappear. You don't make scenes. You leave vacancies. While they played checkers for clout, you built infrastructure in the shadows, folklore with paperwork, thunder in tailored fabric. You moved like a criminal psycho in the night, dodging bullets, betrayals, backstabs with a grin. Not for attention, but for audit. Let them spin rumors. That's cardio for cowards. You're not worried about the story. You became the ending, then wrote 2 sequels, out of spite and discipline. Silence is your sidearm now, The velvet noose around a room the second you step in. Rehearsed lines forget themselves. Liars develop seafood allergies. Snakes shed into socks. You don't have to say a word. Your presence talks reckless for you. You're not proving anything. You're demonstrating. Surgical, calculated, cold, but poetic. Like a shadow with time stamps. The ones who laughed won't make eye contact. The ones who plotted ask, "What's your capacity?" You don't answer. You just keep moving. Like smoke, like math, like myth. Unreadable to the loud, inevitable to the awake. Legends don't retire. Myths don't clock out. And monsters forged in betrayal. They don't get tired. They get refined. Sharpened on rumors, honed on doubt, polished by the same hands that tried to bury them. You didn't survive the war to sit pretty. You came back wearing the battlefield like a custom jacket, lining stitched with names you outgrew, pockets full of lessons you don't loan. Every scar, paid in full, every loss, accruing interest, every betrayal, recited until it became a blueprint, and you followed it right out of hell. You don't chase peace, you own it, and now you're not even done. You're just getting colder, cleaner, closer. Let them watch, let them whisper. Let them wonder why their confidence keeps slipping on your silence like black ice. You're still moving, and when the moment comes, rude and right on time, it won't knock. It'll kick the door in, wearing your laugh like brass knuckles, because real doesn't ask permission. Real doesn't beg for a spotlight. Real doesn't need a platform. Real just arrives. And reminds every room that the most dangerous people aren't the ones with power. They're the ones who survived without it, and rose anyway.